everyone, it's TheTidesChanging here with another speed build. Finally, I know it's been almost 2 months since the last one, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't even realize it had been that long until I checked a couple days ago, and I was like, okay, I gotta get something up, but I do hope to upload speed builds a bit more frequently than that from now on. I made this house for one of the households in my base game Let's Play, Lily Brine and their 2 kids, Ryan and Kella to be specific. They've outgrown their current house and they've also saved up some money, so I thought it was about time to make something bigger and nicer for them. I really did want both the kids to have their own bedroom and also for there to be 2 bathrooms because their current house is 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom. I made it for 2 roommates. It's the Cape Cod Charmer house I made way back when the game was first released, but it does work pretty well for a small family. But like I said, I just really wanted the kids to have their own room and some more space for other things and just to not have it be so cramped. But I decided to make just a 1-floor ranch home for them. I wanted something that sprawled out a little bit more on a larger lot, plus it does save some money to have 1 floor versus 2 floors. This house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. There's also an office that could be converted into a 4th bedroom if you needed it. And it costs around 65,000 simoleons, so it is a bit more budget friendly than some of the homes that I made. I didn't use any money cheats when making it. What I did was I sold all the items in their previous house that you wouldn't take on a move, such as counters and appliances and toilets, and then sold the house, brought along everything else they had, and just started building on this lot. Because of that, when I was furnishing the house, rather than going through the catalog and picking out new furniture, I just pulled items from the household inventory, tried to fit the previous furniture that they had into this house, which I did enjoy doing. It was kind of different because usually you pick out the furniture for the house, but then I was going through and just trying to fit all these things that they had into the house. I did end up using most of it. Some things I ended up selling, and then I upgraded some of the other furniture that they had. But with this speed build, rather than doing the whole exterior and then moving on to the interior, I did a little bit of the exterior. Like, I got the basic look of it down with the wallpaper, flooring, windows, doors, and all of that. And then I did the whole interior, and then the last thing I did with the speed build was that I went back outside and did all the landscaping. And that was just because I didn't want to blow a whole chunk of the budget on the landscaping, like just spend like 30,000 simoleons on all of this landscaping and stuff. Well, I mean, I don't think I would actually spend that much, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money on the landscaping and then go to the furnishing and find that I could get everything that they needed and that the house would just be really sparse. So that's what I tend to do, these more budget type builds, just to make sure everything's done as well as it could, like that one thing doesn't end up really sparse, because I also don't want the yard to end up pretty sparse, so sometimes I'll go back and forth with it. But I do really like this house. It's very cozy, and it's always nice to have a house where everything's all on one level. I actually kind of prefer very cozy houses when I'm playing the game, like not huge mansions. I just get kind of bored whenever I play in huge mansions, and like back in the day when I used to do legacy challenge type things, you know, where I wouldn't use any money cheats, they just earn all their money. By the time they got to having a huge house, I was just bored, and then I went right back to the beginning with another household just because I really like that stage where they're past having a starter home with hardly anything, but you know, they're not rich, like they've got what they need, they've got a house about this size, like this is just the most enjoyable size house for me to play in personally. But at this point I moved on to the interior. I'm working on the kitchen right now, and for the kitchen I went with a very cozy traditional kind of a style. I really like the L-shape look of it, and I messed around with the counter placement in front of the window a lot because I had that 2 wide shuttered window and I wanted the sink to be directly under the window, but then to do that I had to intersect counters, and then I didn't really want to intersect counters because this is supposed to be more of a budget friendly house, and you know, I didn't want to have unnecessary counters in it, and it was just like I wanted things to line up, and there were multiple things I wanted to line up and I just couldn't get them to, so I got sort of frustrated by that. Like, for example, I wanted the counter at the end to go to the end of the tile, but then when I put the tile in, I realized that the counter went past it a little bit, and that was when I realized that, and I was trying to smush it in a bit, and then eventually what I did was I got rid of the 2 wide shuttered window and just put it in a 1 tile wide one, stuck the window under that, and just left it at that because I didn't want to have a sink that was half in front of a counter and half in front of a window. I've never been into a house where a sink was like that, and that just would seem like sort of an odd placement. So yeah, here's where I just went and did this, so that way I didn't have any counters intersecting to get that sink under the window. At first I did place in a microwave, like a new microwave, because I kind of forgot that I was supposed to be going through the household inventory, because up until this point everything had been new, because this was all the stuff that I sold back in the previous house. I gave the whole kitchen a blue and beige color scheme. I just really like the combination. It reminds me of the beach, so like the beige reminds me of the sand, and then the blue reminds me of the water. I find it a very calming color scheme, and yeah, that was the point at which I realized I should not have put in a new microwave, and I was just hunting through the whole household inventory. I came across the outdoor lighting, so I figured I should put that up before I forget. Just going through, picking out all the kitchen knickknacks and sticking them around. I kind of forgot at this point that I could just search through the household inventory, like search through different categories in the household inventory, but I did eventually find the microwave. They had a pretty nice microwave too. I believe they got it. Yeah, it was from getting a gold medal on their wedding. That's all for the kitchen, so now moving on to placing everything in the dining room. Oh, in the last speed build, I mentioned that the next speed build would be one of a hospital I was doing as part of a collab, and I just want to let you all know that I am still working on it. It's about half done at this point. I haven't really worked on it in a little while. I took a bit of a break from building, and then I worked on this house because I need to get it done because I'm coming up on the part of the Let's Play where I need to start using it. Plus I want to get back into things with a smaller house, but I just need to buckle down and get the other half of it done. But it really is a fun build to furnish, and I'm really excited to share it with all of you. Hopefully it should be up in a couple of weeks. But now moving on to the living room. They had some pretty plain furniture in their living room before, like very cheap furniture, like just a small table with a little TV on it and the cheapest little couch. So I did upgrade things a bit. I figured they could use a bigger TV to enjoy, so they got a nice large flat screen TV on a bigger table. Also gave them a 3-person couch since they are a bigger family now. Unfortunately, this living room space is actually a bit smaller than the living room they had at the previous house, so I wasn't able to fit in an armchair. I also gave them a new coffee table. The one they had originally was just the cheapest blocky coffee table, and I'm not a huge fan of the coloring choices for that. The white is fine, but I didn't want a white coffee table, and then all the other color choices are just these really light woods, like a very light beige wood, and then you have a light gray wood, and I just don't like any of it. But right now I'm pulling out all the little knick-knack decorations, just placing them all over the place, like books, tissues, that sort of thing. And then underneath the TV I added in some toys. I like doing that with family homes, like just the look of kids are playing and they just put it up on the shelf to get it out of the way a little bit without actually putting it away in the kids' rooms. We also got a nice little coat rack by the door there. And now that I think about it, I probably should have sold the ceiling lights too, because I guess you don't usually bring those along with you when you move, but oh well, what's done is done. It did save some money, so that's always good. I still had to buy a bunch of new ones for out in the main area, and I did make use of the get to work ones throughout the house a lot. Like, I just really love those ceiling lights. Like, I said this before, but I've been wanting ceiling lights like that for so long. And then I changed the couch to be green, and then eventually I realized I had way too much green in the living room. Like, I got green on the walls, I got green on the couch, green on the dining room chairs, and it was just way too much. So I do eventually, I changed the couch back to what it was originally, and I also changed the dining room chairs to be like a beige color. Oh yeah, I did it off, like I forgot to record it, but yeah, I think it looks so much better with the beige color, and there's when I changed the couch back. So yeah, it's all good now. It's not overwhelmingly green in there. Like, it doesn't look like St. Patrick's Day threw up in there or something like that. Yeah, so at this point, I'm moving on to what is the kids' bathroom. There isn't really anything that spectacular about this bathroom. It just uses the cheapest of the plumbing, a little bit in the way of decorations. I didn't put a whole lot in because, you know, I was trying to save money, keep the price of this down, and bathrooms are where I tend to cut back on decorations a bit when I need to do more budget-conscious speed builds. Although I did do the built-in shower thing that I like to do for a bit of extra realism. And this does make me wish that they would bring back the showers from, I think it was The Sims 2, and maybe they brought back something similar in Sims 3, like in store content. I think they might have, but just the shower where it was just the shower heads and the knobs, because back in The Sims 2, I like to make my own enclosures for showers, like just put that in and put some glass windows and doors around it and had the tile, and I really miss being able to do that. So Maybe that's something they'll bring back in The Sims 4 eventually. That would be pretty cool to see. But right now I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do behind the toilet there. Like, I just got really stuck on what I should do as far as decorations behind the toilet. Like, I was like, should I have those little pictures? Maybe that's too busy. Should I do the towel rack thing I normally do? Then again, that costs too much money. Eventually, I decided to just not have anything behind the toilet, and I put those two little paintings on the wall that's blank. And I think that's fine for decorations in here. I also settled on a nice, it's not really light purple, like a medium kind of a purple. Originally I had the very dark purple, but without any windows in here, it felt like it was just way too dark, but at the same time I like the purple, so yeah, I think this was a good color to go with. I also finished off the bathroom by adding in a bath mat in front of the shower. Now we're moving on to what will be Ryan's bedroom. I just used the same bed that he had previously, and for the wallpaper, I went with the same kind of combination that I did in the last people that I did, like this bed with the green and blue wallpaper. I just love how well that goes together, and I do like how this room turned out. I mean, I pretty much just went and grabbed the whole matching set of kids' furniture, which did make it pretty quick to do, but I will have to redo this room very soon because he will be aging up in a few parts. So I guess it's a good thing that this room didn't take a ton of time to do, and I think I will continue doing the room renovation videos like what I did for Judith's room, because some of you did seem to enjoy that, and seeing the Sims in the series rooms being redone and, you know, more building videos is always good, so it's another way to get a different kind of building video out there. On top of his dresser, I put in the My Sim dolls that his mother Lily had found. I also added in a little rocket that his mother got as a career reward. I figured, you know, it would be a cute little gift that she could have given him, and I kind of imagine him having an interest in space and science as well, just like his mom, so that's why I have that little space mobile type ceiling lamp and, you know, the star bed. His room's almost done. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do as far as the bookshelf. I didn't want to have too much orange in this room, so I ended up going with this one. I thought it'd be nice to mix it up and not use everything from the same exact set, and then I put the rocket on top of it, so there was a little something else in that corner. Now moving on to Callow's room. For her room, I went with a pink and green color scheme. That's just what I felt suited her. I used the same type of wallpaper I used in the other room, but with a slightly different color scheme. I chose this one because it had the little bit of pink in it, and I felt like that was a nice tie into the coloring on the bed, because I had a little bit of trouble finding wallpaper that coordinated with the bed that wasn't all pink, because I didn't want every single thing in this room to be pink. I looked over in Ryan's room and realized that the rug he had would be perfect in Cal's room, and that did mean that I had to go and change the one in his room, because for whatever reason, I just feel like it's weird if two different bedrooms have the same exact rug and the same exact coloring. I feel like each room should have its own sort of color, or its own sort of theme and color scheme. But I'm getting back to just trying to figure out the coloring and arrangement of all the furniture, and I've got all that figured out at this point, so I'm just working on doing all the decoration, like what's on top of the dressers and then what's on the walls, and that's all that's really left to do in this room. At first I was just gonna put the kid type paintings and the posters all over the room, but then I thought it could be kind of cool to use the wall decals. I feel like I sort of neglect the wall decals a bit. And I thought with the whole grass wallpaper, it could be kind of cool to put some cloud decals on, like there are clouds to go with the grass. At first I had them in that purplish pink color, but then I do change them to a green that matches the grass so that they blend in a little bit better. And now I'm working on the office that I mentioned could potentially be a fourth bedroom. I just wanted them to have their very own office, because before all the skill building type items were just scattered all over the place, and their desk was in Lily and Brian's bedroom, so I thought it'd be good just to have a separate little room for that. At first I was going for a red coloring on the wall, but then it was very dark and I wanted the scheme of this room to be a little bit brighter. So I used a nice pale yellow wallpaper, and I do like pale yellow. I don't like bright yellow, I just find it very in your face, but yeah, pale yellow is pretty soothing, so it's got a yellow combined with a light blue scheme, which I think looks pretty nice. To me, seems like a very relaxing mix of colors, but that's it for that room. Now moving on to Lily and Brian's room. The room has a very neutral color scheme that goes along the bed. There's just really not a whole lot of pops of color in it. The painting on the left side of the room that you can see here was done by their friend Taz, another one of the Sims in the series who is a painter. She did it back when her and Lily were roommates, and once she painted it, rather than selling it like I usually do, I just moved it over to Lily's room because I thought it was adorable. And it was a romantic painting. I think it was a flirty one. And I imagined that it could potentially be Lily and Brian's feet, so I just had to keep it. It's always nice to have some custom artwork around like that. And the fun thing about doing the speed build was that I was going through some of the items that I forgot about, and I was remembering, oh yeah, that was the part where this happened, and just remind me of some of the things that have happened throughout the series, because we're going on almost 60 parts with it, so a lot has happened since it began back when the game was released. But I was getting the furniture out, I was trying to figure out what to do in each of the corners. I had a hamper in there. I also wanted to throw in some kind of chair. First I had the get to work one, but I think I ended up just going with one of the cheapest ones to save some money. Although I don't think the get to work one was too expensive, but it was more expensive than what I chose. I was gonna put Brian's microphone in there, but I felt like that looked a little bit odd, so I added into the office. The whole point of that room was for skill building items after all. That green chair in the corner does add a bit of color. And yeah, at this point their bedroom's done, so now moving on to their bathroom. It does have a second room off of it that contains the toilet and the shower. I just feel like that would give this bathroom an extra sense of luxury over the kids one, like rather than it just being the same size. Plus it also helps with potential embarrassing run-in issues, although I guess with Lily and Brian that's just not even an issue because they're a couple, and when Sims are together they don't really care if they walk in on the other one peeing. Yeah, so that wasn't really necessary, but yeah, I still thought it would add a little something else to this bathroom to make it seem a little bit more luxurious. Just finishing things up with a double sink with a huge mirror behind it, and really that's about it for this bathroom once all the decorations are placed. At this point, the interior here is just about done, going through and selling all the excess home decoration items that they have, sticking a rug in there, and now moving out to the exterior of it. I did end up changing the walls on the outside of the house. I noticed that the brick on the wall that's half brick, half siding, and the brick on the full brick wall didn't exactly match. Like, the coloring was slightly off, and it just kept driving me nuts. Plus, I felt like the wallpaper as it was originally was a bit dark, and that the mix of stone and bright green siding was just a more bright and cheery look. Plus, I could also put wood on the decks in the front and back, and you wouldn't have the look of it bleeding into the brick, because that's something I run into when I use brick. Like, it just looks like it's all the same. But right now I'm getting on to the landscaping, just putting out the dirt ahead of time, which I usually don't do, because usually I put the plants down, then the dirt. But I wanted the plants to be spread out a little bit more, and then I did add some dark dirt along the edges just to give it a look that it's bordered. I didn't pack the plants in really closely together just to save some money, and I did put there we go, putting the mailbox and the trash can down at the end of the street. Now getting the other side of the house there, and I'm just doing the exact same thing that I did over on the other side. I'm really looking forward to playing this house when I get back to this household in part 60. For those of you who don't know, in my Sims 4 Let's Play, I have 4 different households, and I just rotate through each one, spending 3 parts in them. I found that system has worked pretty well for this Let's Play. It's just kept a lot of things going on, so I haven't gotten bored of it yet, even after 60 parts, but I finally finished the garden out there on the front, so just putting some trees in there, doing a little bit of terrain painting to add some extra detail. I was gonna put in a big old willow tree, but then I noticed that there weren't very many other willow trees in this neighborhood. Actually, I don't think there's really any other willow trees surrounding this house, and I wanted the trees that I placed in this yard to be very similar to what was surrounding, which was mainly oak trees and the European beech trees. I also left this yard pretty bare in some spots because Lily is an astronaut and I wanted to be able to get a rocket for her someday, which does take up a good bit of space. I don't think she really had enough space at the other house for her because it was on a slightly smaller lot. Something that's really cool about the placement of this house is that it's right in front of that community garden that's in the neighborhood, which is perfect because Lily's into gardening. She has a huge garden. I was able to bring all the plants that she had with them, so you'll see me putting those out shortly. I'm just about finished with the garden in the back of the house at this point. I wanted to put a little tree in there for some extra shade. They did have a good bit of money left over, so I decided to splurge a bit and get them a pool. So they're the first Sims in the series to have their very own pool, and this is another reason why I'm excited to get back to them in this house. I think it'd be pretty cool to throw a nice big pool party once we're back with them. I'm really glad that they had enough money to be able to afford it. I did decide to change the coloring of the flooring and the decks just to make it a little bit brighter. I also wanted to have a fence around the pool to separate it, so I just went with a hedge fence to kind of go with the garden look. And that is why this is called Garden Ranch, because of the humongous garden that's out in the backyard, or will be out there shortly. Right now, just placing all the outdoor type furniture they have, the tables, grill, cooler, that sort of thing. They did have a bar, and I wasn't exactly sure where to put it. I was also thinking of getting rid of it, but then I found that it fit in nicely in that spot next to the stairs, and I did test it. They can still get back into it. Unfortunately, when they moved, all the gardening boxes they had got left behind, which was a bit of a disappointment because they're $200 a pop. So that ate into the money they had a bit, but you know, I had to get them back. When you download this house, you should get all the plants that come with it, and the really cool thing about this garden is that if you have a sim with a high gardening level, you can pretty easily get a cow plant because there are a couple of dragon fruit plants. There's also a couple of snapdragon plants. And if you grab the two of them together, that gives you a cow plant. There's also an empty garden bed waiting for the cow plant. Speaking of gardens, I've got one going myself this year. It's pretty measly compared to the virtual garden you see before you. But we've got 6 plants. We have 3 tomatoes, some butternut squash, basil. It was cinnamon basil, which I never heard of before, but it's similar to basil, but it's got like a hint of cinnamon in it. And also some Anaheim green chilies. There had to be a spicy pepper in there because I really love spicy foods. I don't know why, I just have a thing for spicy foods, and when that plant starts growing, I'm gonna go out there and just eat the peppers by themselves. Whenever I go into a restaurant and they have anything with jalapenos in it, I'm drawn to getting that, and this is probably gonna sound really weird, but I'll also eat hot sauce by itself. Like, I'll just go in the fridge and just like drink the hot sauce. I don't know if anyone else does that, or if it's just, I'm just really weird. Anyway, back to the build that's almost finished. I did put in the bonfire pit that they had back in their yard at the old place. I wasn't sure what to do with the card table that they had. I was considering just getting rid of it or leaving it out on the lawn, but they have enough deck space that I didn't want to just leave it out on the lawn like it was at the old place. So I do end up placing it on the front porch. I did also add in all the nighttime lighting that was inside their inventory, and yep, that's where I ended up putting that little card table. One of the last things that I did was putting in a tree in the corner of the yard. At first I went with a willow tree, but I do end up changing it to an oak tree. And the bonfire pit ended up back where it was originally. That's about it for the build though, so I'm going to be leaving off here, and I hope you'll enjoy the rest of this video.